Oh.
And so.
Your legs are set in front of.
Perfect.
All of that stuff. You know. Kind of stuff is makes me just, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that.
you know, just to do.
Yep, whenever it's time.
Well, that's 10 seconds.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make that motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Turn your mic on.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Department reports. Mike? I don't know where the camera, I might have spent, do we have a microphone?
It doesn't work. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. So last week, I guess we had some storm drain issues. And we went over them today for the most part of the day. Got them all pretty much handled. We got a little bit more work to do on by the burger stand up here. And that one will be handled too. We found the culvert that was plugged, so we got to dig it out. Also, the meter project's going along really good, making good progress on that. So very happy about that. We're going to do some interviews for the park hosts this week, hopefully, since I can get a hold of everybody and get that set up so we know our choice and what they have, so we know what to prep for at the park. So because we don't want to prep a big thing if they don't need it and all that. So other than that, that's about all I got right now.
Mike, you're gonna try and put that camp post in the same spot?
Yeah, pretty much. I think everything's there. Actually, I do have 2 electricians coming. One this week and then maybe one on Saturday to get bids for the electrical at the park for the breaker box and the 50 amp service back over to the park host side.
And the shed?
Yeah,
The door stuff?
we're looking at getting the doors and all that stuff and stuff.
Maybe
So
painted.
the shed, it's long, but yeah, I guess we can paint it. Never really thought about painting it. I guess we press for it to see where it's at, but yeah.
So the water treatment, I'm sorry, not the water treatment, the water meter replacement project. So we haven't ordered the reading equipment yet?
That will be done this week.
Okay.
Right.
Because with prices going up on everything and not being able to get stuff, I'd hate for us to get all the meters in.
Yeah, so we want some reading meters and we want to use it right away. So.
And can we get, maybe next time, can we get a better idea how far along you are on replacing the meters? Because I see that we're at budget on head count so far for that project.
Yeah, we're about 3/4. So we're on the last stretch.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah.
What's your time frame you think of possibly finishing that, Mike?
Probably 2 to 3 weeks probably,
By the end of the month?
to get the rest of the meters installed, hopefully. So as long as everything goes
Yeah, I
to
know.
plan. So
Keep our fingers crossed.
right.
Any other questions for Mike?
No.
Thank you, Mike.
Wait, I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just went down to the boat launch on my way here. Is there a way that we could clip those willows that are on that access to the,
Sure.
that won't take long and,
No, they're probably getting lower.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Can you get questions from the audience on the meters?
On the meters?
I just want to know what the pressure is coming off the new meters, if we need to put reducers on there.
Oh, where are you at in the
You're down in Augustus?
Augustus and Riverbrook.
and Riverbrook? Well, there's only 2 houses, I believe, Well, no, you're at the medium pressure zone there, so you should be right around.
Augusta?
No, I guess this is the higher one. It should be about 70, 75 pounds down there. So, but it's probably about 50 pounds up there on River.
Okay.
The further down the hill,
pounds should be okay.
so far, we never changed anything except for just put the new meters in. They should flow the same.
Okay,
They're just gonna read more accurate.
okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, you bet.
Any other questions? Thanks, Mike. Sam?
Real quick, got Logan working, so he's gonna be working Thursday through Sunday. He's already been out and about. He's driving my old car. I got some good response on him being out, so it's actually he's out later at night and stuff. Other than that, pretty much status quo, things are pretty good.
Didn't you say, Sam, that he already helped in a couple of incidences?
Oh, yeah, he's been asked to help the state county on a pursuit actually yesterday. And then he's been out here with some kind of trespassing out about 5 or 6 miles out of town. So deputies are getting rolling well and stuff, and seems to be doing pretty good.
Any questions for Sam?
So I noticed some additional traffic that we're not used to. Is that 505 traffic on this yellow sheet? I see a traffic criminal and is that?
You know, Devin didn't give me my yellow sheet.
Oh, I forgot about you. Oh, yeah, it's in your packet.
Is it?
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
well, you didn't read it.
That was a test, right?
It was, he failed.
Thanks. When we're referring to what part there? Just more
It
calls.
just looks pretty dense in there on the traffic. Yeah, I was curious if is that 505 issues or is that in?
A little bit of everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Sam,
Yeah.
and it's just for my own knowledge. When,
Yeah.
how does 505, do we have to get a sheriff, is it a sheriff or somebody that is just for highways? If it comes through town, we have jurisdiction.
Oh, yeah, we have jurisdiction. Actually, myself and Logan actually has jurisdiction throughout the state.
Okay,
We can write a ticket out in, out by the freeway.
okay,
Generally, we stick to town for writing tickets and stuff unless we have something out there. I know myself and Logan's already stopped, and I have for years, stopped a lot of people speaking by the schools and stuff like that. Or coming across the bridge and heading out there.
Yeah.
Sure, we've heard that a lot. Or somebody will jump on the gas so they can put up the bridge. Logan's been out that way too, so yeah, no, we have jurisdiction everywhere. But generally we're due to the town stuff.
okay, thank you.
Any other information on the Durango?
Well, actually, that comes up later,
Okay,
so,
we'll address it later.
all right, sir.
Thank you. Michelle?
So in your council packets, there's information that the city of Toledo did get the Well City Award once again. So what that does is give us a 2% decrease on our medical premiums, which is a huge savings to the city. So you can thank Jill, she's our wellness coordinator. This is 5 years in a row, or how many years?
No, longer than
That's
that.
it, yeah.
Yeah, probably longer than that we've gotten that. So that's been a real bonus to the city. And so they will give us an award at their conference, which we won't be going to Spokane, but we'll get an award here eventually. I want to remind the audience that on the agenda, there's a couple different places for speaking. One, if it's on agenda item, you can come up and speak. You need to come up here, state your name and address, and then speak on the topic that's on there. If it's under the end of the meeting where anybody could talk about a subject, you do have 3 minutes. And same thing, you have to come up here so we can record you on the microphone and state your name and your address. So, is there any questions?
Any questions? No.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay, that's all the committee reports we've got. Moving on, special presentation, we have none, public comment on agenda items. Is there any public comment on agenda items? Nothing? We'll move on to new business. The alley vacation request set hearing date. It's in your packet with the pictures. Has everybody got a chance to read that? Look at it? Know exactly where it's at?
There wasn't the highlighting did not go through the hour sheets, but I'm sure that'll be better in the future. But it was all of lot one. So lot one and lot two, it's basically the church parking lot and the new house that the church built. And it's to their property line. And I think that's because we've got some funniness going on in the side alley that would get complicated.
So when I went and looked at it, I noticed there's some stakes there, and there's a stake, and then there's a stake, and then way at the far end, there's another stake. I'm assuming we're not talking about clear to the far stake at the other end, just between this area and the other side of the fence.
Yeah, right where that fence currently stops
Yeah.
is where it would stop.
It doesn't continue on to the other
Well,
side.
the alley does, but they're asking for that part to get vacated. There would be problems if we tried to vacate the other half because the residents in lot three, the two residents in lot three would not, they would lose access to their garages if that weren't an alley. So
But if we vacate this part of it, we lose an alley.
Yeah, but I thought we'd stopped doing that, Michelle, a long time ago, vacating property and losing property to the city. And we went with, I know because I personally have two separate agreements with the city on use on my property. One because of where we had to set our fence, and another one in the back of our house on an alley. Because we need to put a fence back there, but we haven't done so yet after our house was rebuilt. So we have those agreements with the city, but the city didn't lose rights to that property. They need to do anything on that property. Jim and I have to move whatever we have on that property and let the city do its thing. So am I mistaken in that?
So the city has vacated some properties over, especially like this last year. I think a lot of you guys are familiar with the most recent one we did, which was down kind of that goalie area off of 6th and Hemlock. So what we've done is look at the area. Another place we've done a vacation is up by the watershed. We found out that the house there was actually on city property. So we did do a little bit of property vacation so that they didn't have to move their house and had been there for probably 30 or 40 years anyway. And they had enough room too for setbacks. So the city has, in those type of cases, when there's a clear alley, we generally have not. And I think your public works probably would be a better person to talk to, because normally an alley is, you know, an area that you use ingress and egress for different utilities and things like that too. And a lot of people do have garages that are in the alley, not in the alley, but face the alley. And so that's the way that they get in and out of their garages. So I think Eric had mentioned the other half of the alley, those people definitely use the alley to get into their properties. And so then you're going to, they're going to lose access from the east half of the alley.
this specific circumstance, there is really no access in the alley. The access is all on because there's a ramp up off of the street. And that is 100% on the church's parking lot already. So, and you're leaving, I'm assuming leaving that, planning on leaving that open as a drive-through still?
Yes, sir. There's also a public utility pole that encroaches another 2 feet toward that approach into. So traditionally, the church parking lot there has been used for the alley, as you can see on the picture.
Yes. And their driveway that was put in on the new garage for the new church house does occupy the alley and does make it such that if you wanted to drive there, you couldn't anyway. So I'm not sure.
That's my mistake.
What's, so why are you wanting us to do this? You don't mind
You will
asking?
need to come up and
Oh,
speak,
sure.
so.
Mayor Goldbush, city council members and staff. I'm Ernie Badger. I live at 304 Deer Park Lane in Toledo. And I represent Toledo Presbyterian Church in this matter. The situation for us, the incentives for us are number one, of course, would be to just increase the lot size on where our church parsonage is. And also, I think probably most people are aware that churches have had a really difficult time surviving through these COVID times. We have talked to our tax accountant and have an opportunity to annex the church parsonage with the church under the insurance and also for tax purposes, which would be a tremendous incentive for us to do that. It would make financially, it would make a lot of sense for us to do that. And I'm here to answer any other questions you might have.
Well, I'm a little confused on why the insurance, Matt, but you know, if you own this lot and you own the church lot, your insurance should cover all that, right?
Well, the insurance is not the main item. The main item is the tax deduction that we could get for annexing. And there's, the alley sits between us and the church and the manse and the parsonage. And it has to be directly adjoined in order to annex it for tax purposes. And that's what we'd like to do. Now, I'd like to also comment that the church parking lot has traditionally been used for that alley, as you have seen in the photographs. We wouldn't change any of that. And I don't see that it would affect the neighbors in any way.
I guess that's what, that's the agreement my husband and I have with the city, is it states that all we have is permission to use the property for our personal use. But if the city need, it's not ours. We don't pay taxes on it. We don't do anything. And it's because of the way the lots are laid out in the town. And there'd be no reason, that's an alley. And if you're gonna continue to let people use the alley, I guess I just don't see the sense in annex. I just don't know, how much are we talking about? Does it save you guys in money?
Couple of $1,000 a year.
Because they get to treat this as part of the church.
Mhm.
I like supporting the church.
I don't have a problem supporting the church. I have a problem with losing city stuff, city property.
Mike, is there anything in there now?
Well, and I never had a chance really to look over the maps real close, but my question would be utilities.
Mhm.
And
you're right to get to those.
Future.
That's what I mean, if we have to, anything that we need to parallel or loop or anything like that, that kind of takes away that half of the alley to do so. Like I say, who knows in the future what we may have to do there, I don't know. Or if there's even any utilities there now, I don't know. Is there a storm drain through there?
Not that I'm aware of.
I thought on the other end there might be, but I'd have to look at the maps. So then, like I said, I didn't have a chance to do that.
We should have a plan to support that.
Yeah, I would probably want to look at our maps.
Yeah.
Michelle?
So I do have a question for you. When you talk about joining the church parsonage with the church, then would you be looking at a lot line? So it's all on one lot, or they would still have two separate lots? Okay, thank you.
I guess I'm just a little confused because I don't understand, Shelley and I, neither one of us understand why that would make a difference on taxes.
If they're connected or not.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be like, I don't believe you, but I don't have any way to know that because I don't know that. So until I can search out that information for myself to know that that's the case.
Through Diane Dory. And
I don't feel like I can, does that make sense? Make a decision until I find out that information for myself. Not that it's just because I need to do that on my own.
Certainly, my impression is churches are tax exempt. If by annexing the parsonage to the church would also make that tax exempt, which would negate the taxes that we would pay.
But if you own that property
Right.
under the church name, that makes it tax exempt.
Why do they have to be connected
Yeah,
physically? I
Because
guess.
the tax people have told us that in order to be annexed to the church, as under that umbrella, that the alley negates that.
And who are the tax people? County?
Well, it's whoever in the county. So
Okay, okay.
I'm not the treasurer.
No, no, I'm not,
No, we're just
when you
trying
say
to
the
find
tax
out.
people, I'm like, you're talking about your tax accountant, are you talking
Our
about
tax
people you
accountant.
pay
Our
taxes
tax
to?
accountant.
your
you.
tax account.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'd like to talk to Diane Dory and ask her first if that's the case. Because if it doesn't have to be annexed, I don't know why we should.
I think you guys are using the wrong terminology to annex some things.
You're annexing, are we vacating and so that they can annex? Yeah.
Well, they're not annexing. The annexing is like if you have an urban growth area, you annex
Right.
property into the
Right,
city
right.
limits, so
It's
that's.
technically in their scope of what they're talking about, they're annexing.
They're
into
annexing
the
that
church.
piece.
So in that standpoint, I guess that's what it's.
But if we had an agreement with them that we needed to get in there,
It wouldn't give them what they need, which is,
If they truly need them to be hooked together, then we would need to vacate that and let them do that.
so. is
But
there-
I would like to know that for sure before we just said, oh, sure, let's just vacate that.
Mhm.
I'm just not comfortable doing
So
that.
let's learn that and we'll bring this up next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this will come back.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to be a stubborn, I really am not. I just, it's just good questions.
Mike, we could also try to find some more information. for-
Yeah, absolutely. I just didn't have time to really.
Okay, no, I understand. So we'll table this till the next meeting.
Shelley's too nice to be there.
Linda, will there be enough time for the next
Yes.
meeting?
Oh, yeah, I'll call Diane tomorrow morning.
Okay. So that was reserved. Number 2, the police vehicle update. Sam?
All right, as we know, we got the Durango up and running and virtually everything's done with it. It works great. Did a lot of checking around as far as marking it. They were running between $700-800 to $1,200. I talked to the chief over the fire department, apparently that simple reflective strength stuff on their vehicle was like $1,200. And I'm thinking, wow. But the folks that's done our window tinting for years up in Olympia, Martin Way Collision, and he's got a graphic shop there as well. He gave me a quote for, with tax, $541.53 per vehicle. So it looks something like what sheriff department has with there'd be police on it with the Toledo up on top with an image of a badge or something on it, and then on the back. And he said he'd do the vehicles for that. The question is, obviously, the Durango was bought and hoping to mark it. That's the reason it's had a light on top. Question is, we also want to mark the vehicle Logan's right. Personally anymore, I mean, we've had unmarked vehicles for over a decade. It's a little bit of money, but I mean, it's high visibility, and I think anymore, as much as I've always liked unmarked vehicles, high visibility is better than trying to be unmarked.
I completely agree with that.
So
Where are we getting the funds for this? Is that?
that would be, I'd have to check with Michelle.
So on your desk tonight was your blue sheet, and this is the reserve vehicle police fund is what we call it. And kind of a standing thing. So right now, we had estimated the police car with all of its gadgets would be about 45,000. We're in it at 46,304. Sam tonight's proposing another 542 basically, and he also needs a seat cover in the back because he has cloth seats for prisoner transport. So we don't have a cost on that yet, but it would be a budget amendment. Right now, we have 19,378 in that fund.
The one nice thing about it is going through some of our stocks in the back and different things. We saved almost $600 on radio, one logo on the back, worked great. Printer was in the back, that was another $400-500 we saved. And the upfitter, a friend of mine, he had a bunch of parts in the back for the computer stand. And that didn't cost us anything, it's about an $800 computer stand. It was just parts we put together and it's totally great. So. Well, the economy's still in jail.
No, I just felt like we should have.
We have not yet, but it is surplus and it was stripped out. So, unfortunately, our guy that wanted to throw us 10 grand on that vehicle has since bought something else or did something else with his money. So.
We have other options. There are other people interested.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion that we mark all vehicles like that, $500 and some dollar price.
5 for 153 is what he gave me.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we move and second on doing the other vehicle as well. Any other discussion? Let's vote on it.
Charlie has a thought.
All those in favor?
I
All
do,
those in
but
favor?
not that, sorry, go for it,
Trying to run a meeting here.
go for it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Sam, you got it from both vehicles.
Okay, I'll do that thing, Carol. Thanks, sir.
Michelle, head out to the money tree and grab some more. Okay. That's all new business I have. Unfinished business, we have nothing. Other business, nothing.
We have other business.
What?
Do we have to amend this to do the business, or can we just make the recommendation?
Make the recommendation.
Okay, so we had our meeting for the ARPA funds. Did you want to do this?
No, you do it. Thank you. for
No, you
remembering.
can have that.
No, I said thank you for remembering.
We had our meeting for how we were going to move forward with some of the leftover, that's not really leftover, but the ARPA funds that we received, and they're in your, you received somewhere additionally in your, that this evening, these guys, look like this.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are some invoices that are owed for the wastewater treatment plant. The one is from the GNO for working on the computer business, and it was, so for a total, they come to $13,475. We would like to recommend to the council that we use some of the ARPA funds to cover this extra amount to keep the wastewater treatment plant treating wastewater. And what did we say? Yes, that's what we wanted to do.
Okay.
We talked about having, yep, I will. We talked about having the $64,854. Is that correct? Yes, and so it would be the 13,475 off of that. So I would like to make the motion that we use $13,475.08 of the ARPA funds to pay for these 3 invoices for the one for ASU, one for Skyline Pump, and one for Gino.
I will second that motion.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion on it? All right, let's vote on it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so that's the end of other business?
No,
No?
I don't know. I have a question which could involve in building.
Okay.
Do we have a noise ordinance?
A noise ordinance? Yes, we do.
Good. 'Cause
Yeah.
Do we have a noise ordinance?
And
for
they're
barking
twice.
dogs all night long?
Yep, and that's twice already.
Okay. Because I'm that neighbor.
No, you're not the only one. They've been called twice. Feel free to call.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it.
That's it? Okay, there's no more other business. Let's move on to public input. Public input? Go ahead.
Hi, Member Beck, I live at 133 132 Carolyn Drive. And two pieces. One, I wanted to know if the city council has had any further conversation or resolution with the food bank and your contract with them and all their meetings. Like to publicly ask for an update on that.
We were, when you were last here, I wasn't sitting here,
Right,
but
correct.
we needed to give 90 days notice. And so we were locked in, we are locked in through this year. We have, I think, told them, we haven't officially given them notice, but we've told them that,
This is our first notice
Yeah.
of several notices that have to
yeah.
occur.
We let them know that we're renegotiating the contract.
So that's the
So-
key, not a non-compliant eviction.
They are not in non-compliance currently.
They're delinquent in their 1, 2, 3 filings that applies to contract and I can order. So that can be possible. Also, I'd just like to invite you guys publicly, the whole city council, the Toledo Neighbors Program, which is continuing to move forward. We'll have our next public meeting on the 15th of March, which is the Tuesday, next week at 6:30, single landing. And if you guys want to learn more about the work. So I want to any questions?
What was that group again?
Toledo Neighbors Program. Thank you.
I have a question. So what kind of food are you hoping to provide with the neighborhood? Will it be mostly canned goods? Will it be like a mix of fresh and?
Lots of fresh, and then with supplementaries that you can get depending on which source.
And will you have to come to the food bank, or is it something that will have the ability to have?
It's not a food bank,
I'm sorry.
it's a food pantry, separate program, not part of the food bank.
It slipped off my tongue.
It's in the- And we will have some delivery options as well as additional pickup. So we will be completely unrestricted. So anyone can come and get food for anyone. I don't need to know if you're picking up for you or for 5 neighbors. You can just come get food.
Awesome, thank you.
Amber, the last meeting I went to, they also discussed on helping out with their access.
Yes.
Donated into
Yep, so we partner with all of the current nonprofits in Toledo, the foundation, the Lions Club, the farmers market, which I don't know if they're nonprofit, but you know there. And then also the Vision Toledo and the gardening group that does the daily gardening. Common Ground, thank you so much. And so Common Ground actually put out an ask to all of the gardeners to grow extra food specifically for our program that we can then distribute and hopefully teach cooking classes, nutrition classes, lots of stuff to go along with that to feed our community.
Amber, can you say again the time?
6:30 at Steamboat Landing. Yep, and you can find us on Facebook now because we're visual.
Michelle, can you check into the status of the food banks?
Yeah, in fact, Emily had come in last week and mentioned something too, and I just haven't had a chance to check on it.
Thank you. We take this seriously.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it.
Okay, is there any other public input?
Yes.
You're gonna speak?
No, I don't know, I'm gonna speak.
Tom's gonna speak, I thought.
No.
I will correct
you,
you.
Tom.
Well, somebody has to speak.
You wanna speak?
Well, I'm not going to speak.
Okay,
Has everybody heard about the biosolids?
You have to say who you are and where you live.
Oh, okay. Tom Layton. I live at 274 Layton Road, Toledo, Washington. Okay, now that everybody knows. I can speak, but I'm not gonna give a lot of information because I think most of the people have been, a lot of it's been convened, but everything you want to know and more are in these websites. I'm gonna pass these out. And actually, the information is from the state of Maine, because our Department of Ecology is going like this, to this situation.
They don't want to know, or they don't want to be involved, or they don't.
They don't want to know.
Okay.
Well, they know, but they don't want
They don't want
to
to.
get involved.
They don't
yet
want us to
because they
know
don't
that they
what
know.
to do with the solid waste. And that's a problem throughout
United States.
the United States, the world. The EU does not put bio waste on our agricultural ground anymore. They're burning it, most of it. And then the residue, they have to take to landfills. But here, we're still trying to put it on our agricultural land. And it's called PFAS, PFAS.
And it's getting into our food, contaminating our wells, contaminating the soil, contaminating milk. They first found it in the milk in the dairy farms in Maine. And they tracked it back to the bio-waste. The cows had been fed bio-waste, was used as a fertilizer on silage. And so it's the whole food system. Here we go. So I don't know how much you need to know about it.
Tom, are you guys for or against this?
Well, we're not for it.
We're not for.
I would hope not, but I just.
And it's not very well regulated.
Well, can I speak?
I'm not.
No, you can speak. Let me just pass these out.
And I know we only have.
You gotta come up here, state your name, say where you're from. I'll be sleeping in the other room.
Rich, that's the first time you were told your wife to do that, right?
Okay, you know me, I'm Sharon Layton, I'm his, their house.
Of
And
course.
I live in the same house. Where it began, okay. So back in 1992, I'll give you a little history. 1992, the representatives of the state couldn't figure out what to do with the sludge. So they gave the job to the Department of Ecology. And so the Department of Ecology now is trying to find farms to put all
You gotta
this.
see over there on camera.
No, she's on camera. We're here.
Yeah, you can move forward.
See, look.
You can just, hold this microphone.
Oh, okay, okay. Anyway, whatever. So the Department of Ecology's job kind of is to find a place to put the sludge. So they think it's a good idea for farmers to do it. The problem is that it's not regulated real well. And Stephen, you and I have had conversations about your testing and those sorts of things, but you can't possibly test for everything because well, think about it. We have infections, we have E. coli, God knows what we have coming out of our rectums, ganglers, that's right. All the drugs that we take, they're biotransformed in our liver, but they're excreted in our colon. So all the meds that we take end up going in the toilet, we flush it, and out it goes wherever. So those end up being in the soil. We have, the sad thing is we have minerals, and Tom is referring to PCAS. Those are the minerals that come out, or the extra things that come out from plastics. Those things never biodegrade. And so those are really causing issues like infertility for people, cancers. Cancer is one of the biggest problems with all these drugs or all these things. And so what happens is we put it in the ground. Farmers will say that the grass is green, everything's copacetic. Tom and I have been riding around having field trips. We were just over in Napa Vine, and people have their cows right next to it eating. And they just have big signs saying biosolids were just put on there. So literally, that's kind of a pun. And so we started having meetings, and a meeting was in our barn, 2 weeks ago, and 120 people came, or 100 people. And then we had another meeting yesterday, and to talk about it, if people are concerned. And then we have a meeting with the commissioners, and we have a meeting with the commissioners, and we hope everybody will come. It's March 15th at 11 o'clock. We've talked to the commissioners. They're concerned, but they really don't know what to do. We've called all the representatives. They potentially are going to try to get a hold of the Department of Ecology so we can have another meeting with them. When you call the Department of Ecology, they say, yeah, it might be a problem, but we don't have anything on that. And then Tom, of course, went national. So he's been calling different states like Ohio and Maine. He's having coffee with people from different states talking about what's happening in their states. So that's the issue, is we're getting a lot more people wanting to spread bio-waste. It's sort of legal. Well, it is legal. So our goal is to potentially stop it, make people aware of it, and then potentially legislatively figure out how to stop it.
And Patty Kinspaw, is that how you say her last name? She had told that she has the support of the Cowles tribe. They just had a unanimous
Right, right.
to be actively against it?
Yeah, they're actively against it. Who else is against it? I don't know.
I mean, we can all be against it, but of course,
So
because
what-
it's
yeah.
not inside the city limits, that we have
But
no
you'll be
power.
drinking and eating it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
As a stage 3 breast cancer survivor, I am not thrilled about that.
Right, right. And you can come to the meetings if you can. I know everybody's working it, so that's really tough.
Yeah.
But if people could come, March 15th, and,
Where is it at?
Where is, yeah,
oh, it's at first.
okay, was gonna.
Yes. And I think the commissioners are the ones that really have to throw their weight behind everything like this here, but if they knew that this council,
Yeah, can we do something
They
as a
don't like
council
Be
to,
directly involved in.
Yeah,
The
like-
Cowlitz River runs right through our town. We've got a big field right over there.
Mhm.
Who knows?
well, our children, all our
Well,
children.
the other thing that's really, about what, children?
Can't go in the field for.
Oh, yeah, you can't go in the field. You can't, oops, like your desk. You can't go in the field for 30 days after, you can't walk around the neighborhood, around that area for 30 days. And then there's like 12 months each for cows being on it, which now that's not happening because they just sprayed it and the cows were there. So nobody's monitoring it. You're not supposed to be able to go to in the fields or plant anything in it for about a year after the biosolids are.
Well, and then what happens when it's hot and the air and
Well,
that's
then you've got
floating
the
up in the
smell.
air and,
Yeah, you have the smell.
yeah, but I mean, what else is in the air that we're breathing in?
That's right. And the guy that
Yes,
spoke to
the
us said that it potentially can cause cancer because the dust from it can get in your lungs.
There you go.
And the other problem, so it affects the water. Nobody will test the water, you know, if you want to test your own, that's fine, but nobody else will test the water to, the Department of Ecology won't test your water. So it can get in your water, it can get in your soil, which is tough to test. And of course, the air, which we all degrees.
Michelle, can we make something like a proclamation as the city to say that we don't support this?
You can.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys want to investigate more, wait till after the commissioner's hearing. And
Well,
Can we put this on the schedule then for the next meeting?
There's the gentleman behind Tom has something he wants to say.
I just have a point to make too. I live out in that area too, obviously, and the elk herd wanders around that, whether it's been 3 days or whatever it's been or not. If the elk herds are already suffering in the area, we know that.
Yeah.
So that's and other wildlife as well. We have no control over wanders either.
Which means they could be carrying it from one field to
Correct.
another.
And once they start dumping it, and once they start dumping it, they say, well, you're already dumping it, so they're gonna keep dumping more, and we're in a very convenient location to save a lot of money if they don't have to truck it all the way to Yakima.
Or down south, like.
They run
Eastern
all the way
Washington,
down
Eastern
the
Oregon.
south, they run all the way down south to us and then all the way back over and up to Eastern Washington, and we are 25% of that distance.
Mhm.
And then it flooded. We all took pictures.
Yes,
the
I
other
saw
morning. It was completely covered in water.
Mhm.
And that's the area.
So that's gonna run off into.
Yeah, into the river.
into our
To
streams.
the ditches and everything else. Yeah.
Did I explain it okay, guys?
You did great, thank you.
So, yeah, do you have
yeah.
some talking points? You guys some talking points?
Yeah, that maybe you could provide us and.
Well, I can give you so much information.
I asked that they bring some things, I asked that it be a little short, but it wasn't, and that's fine.
Well,
So you have some, and then I also have,
fine at first.
I have a much larger packet that you all are.
But
gonna
this-
love.
This is
Well,
very
it's-
informative.
Okay,
It sounds to me like,
And he brought his red notebook, you guys. I don't make fun, but Bob is awesome. This thing is amazing.
I promise I'm not gonna read that. Or not the whole thing. It was a very good point.
That would be-
Who are you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Who are you?
I already read that. I'm Bob Dennis of the Development for
Can you take one step in, because we can see your notebook, but not you.
Oh.
But
So I'm Bob Dennis of the Development for Schmidt Road, outside of town, and I want to take your point that if it's the town, it's outside of town limits. But in the original site-specific land application plan that this landowner filed on behalf of Tribeca and approved by the state of ecology, the Department of Ecology, there would be trucks coming through this town. And they're estimated 12 trucks per day for the small tonnage, about 400 tons, that the 4 fields that they were gonna start with for the project. In addition to those fields, they had a whole list of lots that were planned for future use and storage on the prairie. One of the questions that was asked in their state environmental plan is if any scenic or recreational areas were going to be impacted, and they said no.
But
And
they are. I'm sorry, they are.
according to the Board of Ecology, this is a legal process when it's done properly, and that it would not be impacted. But what we discovered, and I don't know if anyone knew this, I did not know this, that the 505 is a recognized scenic byway.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was the one that didn't know it. Anyway,
All curves that run through
that was
there
not
and-
mentioned on the original Environmental Protection Act that was filed with the state of ecology. Once that's filed with the state of ecology, they looked at what was stated in that, and they said they made a determination of non-significance, which means that they feel there is no impact of this project on the environment out on the prairie. I'm sorry, I'm a little upset about this because the more I've dug into it, the more I've realized that we have no control over it. So the control, though, as soon as ecology made the determination of non-significance, any state agency can step in and say, wait a second, we want to make a determination. Because as soon as ecology says there's no problem, another state agency can step in and say, yes, there is a problem, and we want to review it on our own. I'm not suggesting that the city of Toledo step in and stop this process, but you can, what you were just suggesting.
As a city, though, with that much traffic coming through our town, we could potentially hold things.
And nasty traffic,
Yeah.
nasty.
Yeah.
Mhm. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
I'd like to make a motion that we pursue a proclamation against this.
Yeah.
And maybe I think we should do it now so that they'll have that to go along with the Cowlitz tribe when they're.
Also speaking of that, when it comes to Patty Ginsbach, I talked to her personally yesterday. Also in the state environmental protection checklist that they had to fill out, they specifically asked if there were cultural issues in the project area. And they even suggest in that checklist, contact tribes. So I pulled Patty aside yesterday after the meeting, and I said, was the tribe ever contacted regarding this? And when you know, I was pretty sure. She just up and down like this. Like, no, the tribe was not notified. So
Sure not.
anyway, so that's what's going on with the tribe.
So can we ask an agency to step in and do anything about the 12 trucks coming in?
Can we go back? We have a motion
I
on the
think we
floor,
started- I think
so
we
can we
can
get
do
a
the motion
second and
first.
work through the
I'll
motion?
second that motion
Thank
that Eric
you.
made about moving forward with the proclamation to have it ready so that it can go with you next week.
Yeah,
To the
that's a good
15th.
On the
idea.
15th.
So now I think is when we talk
Now,
about.
yes, yeah, now we do.
And the 12 trucks was an estimate based on the trucking company. And they said it could change depending on additional contracts they receive to haul sewage sludge from.
I saw pictures that they can decide, you know what, this is actually a great place just to stage the stuff. And then they start piling it 8 feet tall, the entire area.
This initial plan, for the project, I see as a foot in the door. And as soon as that foot gets in the door, they can, and really the landowner in question, and actually my wife printed out and had the landowner agreements. They're all public documents, so nothing nefarious going on, putting out those documents with people paying the numbers on them. But the landowner agreements, the number one landowner, in addition to this first 4 fields, put down every field he owns for future use. And that's a lot of land. And he's
All over
apparently
Toledo.
purchasing more land now. So,
I have a question of, because the Department of Ecology was not, did not do their due diligence, if we could ask them as a city to come and give us a reason why they didn't approve this as coming through town and the tribes and have them come down to us.
They gave you no notification.
They gave us no notification.
Oh, that's another
They
topic.
gave
Oh,
us,
my
they didn't talk to the tribes, that would force them to come down and come here and talk to us. Because that does directly influence our town.
They check that box with little tiny piece of paper they put up
yes.
on the property
Yes.
through the
Mhm.
Christmas season.
So the timeline that we know from the plan that was submitted to ecology was that as far back as June, the initial soil tests were done on these properties as a baseline before the sewage sludge gets spread on them. And then in July, the landowner agreements are all signed. In October, the trucking company, Tribeca, filed with the Washington Department of Ecology their plan. In December 9th, the Washington Department of Ecology issued the determination of non-significance, which immediately triggers 30 days in which the public has to be notified. And at the same time, the public can make their comments to the Department of Ecology. So for a process that had gone on over 6 months that we know of, the public was given 30 days at the end of that process to step in and at least make their comments.
But how was this notice done? By a piece of paper on the
The
field?
notice is done. Oh, I can hear my, the notice is really interesting, and it's kind of outdated, maybe laws need to change regarding this. One, a legal notification in a local paper. I don't know how many people read the legal notifications in papers. I didn't see it, I don't know if anyone here saw it. And the other was, about a half dozen signs, about this big.
No, I don't even think that big.
Which were placed on the fence line along 505 on December 9th through January 9th, through the holidays, basically.
And through all the rain and the snow.
The rain and the snow.
Yeah.
Tiny print.
And they were yellow signs with black writing. I myself admit that I went by it so many times, I assumed they were brand new, no hunting signs. Fortunately, some very watchful ladies on the prairie stopped and got out and looked at these signs and raised the alarm for the rest.
Well, the study was done while it was dry, and there was no rain runoff study done, obviously, it was done in the dry portion of the year now. You got reports that there was water flooding and everything else, so that in itself is an inaccurate finding on their behalf, because they didn't do it during the wet runoff season, and who knows how many wells are gonna be affected.
Well, part of the process is, which also occurred when they did the soil testing, is they have boreholes down to water tables so they can monitor the water. In those landholder agreements, as long as I'm up here, I'll just say it. In those landowner agreements, there is the very last restriction. The landowners have restrictions on their land based on as soon as the biosolids are down. And one of the restrictions is crop harvesting restrictions are between 30 days and 38 months after application, depending on the crop type. You have to go into Department of Ecology's legal website and find out that the 38 months are for root crops. So if you want to grow potatoes or carrots, you have to wait 3 years before you can put those on this field. I'm not saying I'm not a farmer. I don't know if those fields could even produce potatoes and carrots, but 38 months.
It's pretty obvious that once they start spreading this, they're not gonna grow anything. They're not just gonna come once and apply it and go away. They're gonna keep putting it down.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
those fields are gonna
I've
just be.
seen canvas growing on those fields and that's,
There's just gonna be a toxic dumping.
And that's what you're seeing on the Antrim Road and the Jordan Road over down there. They got those big guns out there that just keeps going. And this,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
and the other thing they did out there is they put on commercial fertilizer about 3 weeks ago. And I got pictures of them going right through the water and everything, spreading commercial fertilizer. And I told the Department of Ecology that And you go, they did what? I said, they put on commercial fertilizer. He said, well, they've already tested the ground in June. He says, now they need to go out and retest it. So I think that would invalidate it. But the Department of Ecology is pretty,
Understand.
yeah, they're understaffed. That's what they always tell me. We only have 2 people for 12 counts.
And there's lots of money involved.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor, it's been discussed for the proclamation, is that correct?
Mhm.
Enough discussion for now. If you want to hear more, go up to the meeting with the commission. We'll vote on it, all those in favor say aye,
Aye.
opposed?
And this is a proclamation.
That's for the proclamation, what was put in there.
Against, against.
Okay, that's it on that. Any other public
I'd
input?
just like to thank the council.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing it to our attention. I mean, those of us, I live in town. I mean, we all live in town, or we wouldn't be on council. It doesn't, but you know, we've grown up here. This is, you know, my husband used to hunt out there, for God's sakes, you know.
Or we've only been here for 4 years and we love you.
Yeah.
So March
Some of us
15th,
grew up.
Yeah, March 15th, Tuesday, March 15th, 11 o'clock.
It's just sickening to see this happen.
I'm sorry.
and you have a Facebook page, yes?
Yes,
Yes.
Commissioners.
and the commissioners.
Yeah, they do. I've seen
Conference rooms- conference rooms on the-
What was the name of the commissioner that was there?
I think it's on the second floor. Conference room.
Gross.
Our
It's Russ.
commissioners, they grow
It's huge.
right
Yeah.
now. So the more people, the better.
15th at 6:30.
Okay, that's it. Any other, entertain a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Then move and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we have a workshop in about 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Everybody else can go.
Thank you, guys.